This slideshow is an attempt to provide a little historic context for our discussions about the West Bank CDC. The CDC is part of the history of the Cedar Riverside neighborhood, and that history is can be seen as a story of immigration through the ages. In the mid-1800s, immigrants from Eastern Europe and Scandinavia settled in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood. They established their variety of communities within the neighborhood, and as you can see, brought much of their culture with them. And also you can see that from this slide that English was not the only language spoken then. In fact, in the 1880s, the ballots for state elections in Minnesota were issued in 16 different languages. So you can see that having several languages spoken is not a new thing for Cedar Riverside. Immigrants often came settled in what we call the Bohemian Flats in the early days. The flats were the area next to the Mississippi River. This is a view of 7 corners, basically. The houses were below the bluff, and other activities happened above the bluff. The bridge in this photograph was constructed or was in service and provided the major connection between the east and the west banks of the river until 1964, when the present bridge was constructed. The coal gasification facility, located above the bluff, is on the presently in the location where the playing fields, university playing fields, are now located, and the pollution left behind by that facility is still plaguing us today. These are some scenes of what life was like on Bohemian Flats. As the new arrivals began to prosper, they moved up to the above the flats, above the bluff. This is a photograph of Cedar Avenue. The building on the right is the Holterman building. The building in the rear is the cafe building that now houses the Acadia restaurant. The top floor of this building burned. This is another view of Cedar Avenue looking north. On the right is the DANIA Hall and the Holterman building. On the left is the building that houses the Palmer's Bar at this time. This is the Southern Theater in 7 Corners in its more glorious days. This is the building that presently houses the Republic Bar. This was another building that had a fire and the top floor burned and was removed. Dania Hall, another victim of fire in the year 2000, was built in 1884 by Society Dania with the idea that it would be a place where new arrivals could gather and begin to form a new sense of community. Just as in the 1880s, new arrivals came to the Bohemian Flats, in the 1980s, 100 years later, they come to Riverside Plaza. And we presently have a vast diversity of cultural heritage in Cedar Riverside. And the work that the West Bank CDC does now is focused on working with multiple cultures to solve common problems.